to Building Business with Soul with Coach Arliss. This is a show where we are going to dive into the soulful approaches to business, get nerdy with some brain science, and learn the nuts and bolts of how business owners gain success through their passion. Let's take a moment to get focused and centered with one round of box breathing, where we will breathe in for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. Let's go ahead and begin. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic job getting focused. Today, we're going to be talking about maintaining healthy boundaries in our business. Last week, we talked about setting healthy boundaries. So if you need to go back and get a refresher, go ahead and check out last week's show so that you can get up to date. Today, I really wanted to focus on the works of Dr. Quinn Cirillo, who is a registered counseling psychologist and an associate fellow of the British Psychological Society. And she has amazing work on how to maintain boundaries, and she dives into how to do this in business. So I highly recommend that you go and check out her work. So what does it look like when a person maintains healthy boundaries? Well, it looks like a business owner valuing their own opinion, knowing that they are safe and confident enough to share their own opinion. They are confident enough to stand in their own beliefs, and they are able to speak up to others about what their opinion is in the business world. We also want to be open-minded and hear other people's opinion too. And in order to maintain healthy boundaries, we have to start by really valuing and showing trust in our own opinion as well. Another way that business owners show that they're able to maintain healthy boundaries is by knowing what personal information is appropriate to share. So we all have different levels of relationship with people in our business, and knowing what is appropriate to share with that person or with that group of people is important, and not sharing too much, also not sharing too little. We do want to be growing our relationships in business. When we do grow our relationships, we're able to grow our trust and our loyalty and our sense of belonging in our business. And so we do want to share some about us, and we want to be cognizant of what would be inappropriate to share. Another way that we maintain healthy boundaries and show that we're maintaining healthy boundaries is understanding what our needs and wants are in the business, and being able to communicate that with the other people that we are working with in business, whether that be our clients, our staff, our colleagues, our mentors. When we are able to express what our wants and needs are in business, then we are upholding our healthy boundaries. Another way that business owners show that they are having healthy boundaries is when they're able to accept other people saying no. Now, this can be a little frustrating sometimes. People may even feel a sense of hurt feelings when they are told no. And when we are able to accept other people's no and maybe even celebrate their no, we are able to not only uphold our own healthy boundaries, we are also able to help others uphold their healthy boundaries as well. So out of these ways that we show that we have healthy boundaries, which are valuing our own opinion, sharing appropriately in business settings, understanding our wants and needs, and accepting other people's no, where do you want to do some work to be able to grow your ability to have healthy boundaries? Most business owners that I talk to say, hey, I really need to grow my ability to accept other people's no without taking it personally. If that's an area that you're looking to grow in, then I highly recommend reading the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, where one of the agreements is to not take anything personally. Other people's no's are not about you personally. They are about what supports them in doing business. So in business, we have different areas that we need to be cognizant of having healthy boundaries. One area is our time. So what boundaries are you setting around the amount of time that you spend and the amount of time that you're willing to spend with or supporting others? When we have really healthy boundaries with our time for ourselves, it means that we can be really cognizant of how we're calendaring ourselves, how we're giving our time to others, and if we're making a conscious choice about how we're spending our time. This allows us to not be overscheduled, and it also allows us to not end up in a situation where we're feeling resentful of other people, quote unquote, taking our time, when in reality, we freely gave it away without much thought of whether or not that really served us or not. Another area in business where we need to be aware of our boundaries is financial. So, how are you spending money in your business? How are you saving money in your business? When do you feel like it's appropriate to spend money in your business or not? And what are your boundaries around money in your business? This again can really help you have better relationships with the people in your business around money. It also gives you a sense of support and a sense of being secure when you are clear around your boundaries around money. Another area is intellectual. So, what are your thoughts and beliefs around how business should be practiced? What are your core values? What is your mission statement and your vision statement? Are you able to respect other people's boundaries that may not be in alignment with yours? And are you able to respect and honor other people's ideas and opinions? This can be really challenging when we feel like we are the expert in the field, and somebody is asking us to think outside the box. And as business owners, we want to be lifelong learners. This helps us to learn and stay ahead of the curve in our business field and see ways that we can expand our knowledge. Finally, an area in our business that we should have boundaries is around our specific means of doing business. So our prices, networking, our client relationships, our products and services. What are your boundaries around that? Do you hold true to the pricing structure that you've created for yourself or not? And if you don't, why is that? So let's talk about how to maintain healthy boundaries. We talked about what it looks like to have healthy boundaries and the areas in our business where we need to have healthy boundaries. What are the steps in order to maintain those healthy boundaries? Well, number one, we need to practice self-reflection. This allows us to look at, hey, am I having some emotions come up that indicate that I have a boundary that I'm not upholding? Am I clearly stating my boundaries to other people? Am I honoring other people's boundaries? Am I creating a safe place for other people to share their boundaries with me? When we practice self-reflection, it allows us to get clarity and be in the reality of the situation. Another way to maintain healthy boundaries is to start small. So when I was going over the areas that we have in business where we need to maintain boundaries, one of those may have stood out to you as, oh, that's an area where I could have stronger or clearer boundaries. For many entrepreneurs, this is around time management. So if you are looking to have stronger or clearer boundaries around time management, start with something small. something easy that can be a simple win to get you started, and then grow in your boundary setting as you get used to doing it and feel more comfortable with it. Another way that we can maintain healthy boundaries is to set boundaries early. So as soon as you notice that you have a boundary in an area that somebody may cross, or if it already has been crossed, set that boundary then. Don't wait for a week or a month or 6 months to go by. We want to give people a roadmap for the way that we are willing to interact and be in relation to other people. So when we set those boundaries early, we are really doing them a kindness, and we're really supporting and honoring ourselves. The fourth way to set and maintain good boundaries is to be consistent in upholding your boundaries. So be clear and be consistent. Another way is to create a framework for your upholding or setting boundaries. Maybe you have a specific set of language that you use around setting a boundary that you feel comfortable with. The sixth reason is to feel okay with updating your boundary as you go. Okay, so the boundary that you set originally, it might look a little bit different later on, and that's okay. Be clear in that update of that boundary. Be aware of what you're consuming as far as media, and if that media shows and depicts people upholding and honoring boundaries. If we watch movies where people are not speaking up for themselves, or others are blatantly and maliciously crossing other people's boundaries, then we are normalizing that boundaries are not to be upheld. Whereas if we watch movies or look at social media or listen to podcasts where people are honoring boundaries and they're clearly speaking their boundaries, then we are normalizing that having boundaries is normal. So be aware of what you're consuming. I also want you to share about what your boundaries are with the people around you, especially in your business, so that they have that roadmap and you're clearly communicating about your boundaries. Be your biggest hype person around boundaries. Support yourself in setting boundaries. Be your own hero around setting boundaries. This will encourage trust within yourself to be able to set those boundaries. And the last step to maintaining really healthy boundaries is to look at the situation as a third party, from the third party perspective. Would a third party have the same emotional response? Would they feel the same way? Are you having the emotional response you're having right now because of what's actually happening in the situation? Or are you being triggered from a past situation and you're responding as though the past situation is repeating when it may not be? All of these things can help you set and maintain your strong boundaries and your healthy boundaries. Take a moment today to recognize at least one thing that you appreciate about yourself so that you can train your brain that you are excited to show up in your business and that you appreciate the efforts that you're putting in towards having a successful business. Thank you for joining me, Coach Arliss, on Building Business with Soul. If you would like to learn more about how I support entrepreneurs, please check out soullutions.com. That's SOULLUTIONS.com. Join me next week when we dive into more soulful approaches to business.